Okay, so good morning and good evening once again to everyone. Today's session is all about the LoadRunner performance testing tool demo. So I'll quickly mention the points or the agenda for today. So the first thing that we will be discussing today is what is performance testing. Okay. Second point, what we'll be discussing today is specific to LoadRunner, specific to LoadRunner architecture. Okay, because there are multiple tools. Okay, there are multiple tools, and we are going to learn LoadRunner. So that's the reason. The second point will be LoadRunner architecture, and then we are going to do a small practical, uh, you know practical example of how to record and replay the script. Okay, how to record and replay the script. Okay, then we will discuss about the LoadRunner course content. Okay, LoadRunner course content, and then I will give time for all of you to post your questions either through the chat window or through directly as well. So uh, in between, if you have any questions, right? You can make a note of those questions at your end, or you can post it directly in the chat window. I will address all those questions one by one, at the end of the demo session. So first, we'll complete the first 4 points, okay, and then we'll focus on the Q&A. So, what do you mean by performance testing? Okay, so if I have to explain that, I'll just take a couple of, yeah, tell me.
Hello, Trainer Shop. How about you, please?
Uh, I
Something you might want to
I did
know.
that. Maybe I was on mute, I guess. 1 second.
Yeah.
I think I was on mute. Yeah, I was on mute at that point of time. Okay, so my name is Krushik. Okay, so I have around almost 13 years of experience in IT, specifically into automation and performance engineering. So I'll be your load runner trainer for for this batch. So so you can get in touch with me. I'll be available on WhatsApp, all the time. I'm already there in that WhatsApp groups. So else you can ping me directly or call me directly as well. Okay. So that's a short introduction about me. So coming back to this uh, agenda, what do you mean by performance testing? I was just looking at one of the slide here, right? So what do you mean by software testing? Okay, so here if you observe, there are two aspects here. One is the functional testing, the other one is the non-functional testing. So coming to the functional testing, okay, I know, some of you, might be already working on the manual testing part, or some of you might be coming from automation background, or some of you might be completely new to IT. Okay, but then functional testing is all about testing the functionality of the application, like for what purpose the application was developed. Is that serving the purpose or not? We will be testing the functionality. So the core the core part is to test the functionality of the application. So in this aspect again, okay, we have something like regression testing, integration testing, and so on. The major tools that we use are something like Selenium, UFT, that means the micro focus unified functional testing, so etc. So you might have heard about these tools in the market as well, Selenium, UFT, and all, right? And coming to the non-functional testing, okay, it's not primarily focused on testing the functionality of the application. Rather, it will focus on the non-functional aspects like performance, security, etc. So if you see, with respect to performance testing, the tools that we use is LoadRunner, Jmeter, etc. We have multiple tools like LoadRunner, Jmeter, Gatling, Neoload, etc. But the most widely used tools are LoadRunner and Jmeter. Okay, because they have a major share in the market when compared to other tools available. Okay, so we will be primarily focusing on the non-functional aspects. The performance testing is all about testing the non-functional aspects of the application like performance. Okay, like how fast the application is responding, how fast the pages are loading. Like if you click a link, generally you open any website, right? What do? Either you click a link or you click a button, right? So how fast it is navigating from one page to another page. So that's more about the performance. Okay, so we'll be focusing as a performance tester, we'll be much more interested in that aspect. Okay, then what if performance testing is not done, or why performance testing is important? Okay, so if you think from business perspective, if performance testing is not done, okay, it can directly impact the financial, the financial thing. Okay, so if the applications are slow, okay, then what can happen? The users can switch from one app to another app. Okay, there are so many applications available nowadays, right? So if one application is very slow, its performance is very poor, then obviously the customers will move from one app to another app, which will result in the financial loss to the business. So it's a very, very important aspect, right? So it's so if you remember, I guess in 2014 or 2013, one of the e-commerce company, or e-commerce, they announced a big sale for the first time. I think so. For the first time, they announced a big sale or some holiday sale or something like that. uh, because it was first time, they didn't expect so many number of people, huge number of people, accessing the application. They didn't expect those many number of users. So for the very first time, when they announced the big sale, because of huge number of users accessing the application crashed. Okay, so uh, that's the reason the performance testing, the performance aspect is very, very important. Will the application be able to withstand the amount of users or the amount of load, okay, they put on the application? Okay, so if performance testing is not conducted, then applications might face problems like slowness, pages loading forever, inconsistency, and may further result in business loss as well. Okay, that's the main reason why we have to do performance testing, because it has a direct impact on the financial part. Why do we do the performance testing? Is to find the performance issues, okay, rather than finding functional issues. Okay, so functional issues, the functional testing team will take care, the manual testing team will take care, or the automation testing team will take care. But the performance issues, as we have to take care from the performance team perspective. In performance testing terminology, the performance issue, whatever whatever the issue, we call it as a bottleneck. The term we use here is bottleneck. Okay, so generally if someone is asking, uh, what are the performance issues that you observed? So the basic thing, that basic or the most frequently observed performance issues are slowness, application slowness. Like the application, freezing, application loading slowly, application not responding. Okay, and then you can also see application crashing. These are all the functional issues or the functional bottlenecks, we call it as. Okay, so how do you find out all of these? How do you take them to take them to development team to fix it? Okay, okay, all these things we will learn in our course. Okay, so that is about the importance of performance testing. What happens if we are not conducting the performance testing? Okay, so okay, So without any further delay, we will discuss about the tool itself directly, because this course is all about LoadRunner, right? As I said, there are many tools in the market, but the major share is for the LoadRunner tool and the Jmeter tool. So let me open the slide where we discuss about the LoadRunner architecture. Okay, so what is this tool about? How the architecture looks like? Okay, what are the different components it has? Okay, what is the purpose of each component? Okay, so what are the things that we will learn from this course? How is it different from other tools? We'll try to understand. Okay, now the architecture diagram over here, I'm not going to directly show the or present the diagram, but we will derive the diagram out of some questions. Okay, so let's say there is an application, maybe take anything like a bank application or whatever it is. So generally, uh, obviously, like morning 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. in the morning, more number of people, that means the max number of people access the bank application. Okay, assume for that. Okay, so what are those, for example, if I ask you to test the bank application, I mean, if I ask you to do a performance testing for the this bank application, okay, with 500 users, 500 people, how do you do that? So will you bring 500 people and give them and ask them and make them sit at one place and give them 500 laptops or desktops and ask them to sign in or log into the bank application at the same point of time? Is it possible, just to do that manually? Might be for 500 users, but it involves a huge financial investment. Okay, let's say we can do it with 500, but what if I have to test the bank application with 5,000 people, so 5,000 users? So I cannot bring 5,000 people and make them sit and assign them laptops and ask them to log into bank application and perform some actions on that. I cannot do that. So that's the reason we have one component, okay, which we call it as load generator. The the load generator component is primarily responsible to simulate the virtual users for us. So the virtual users are, uh, you know they actually simulate the actions whatever the real user do. Okay, so let's say like clicking a button, clicking a link, selecting some value from a drop down. Okay, like whatever the general actions that you do on a UI web page UI, those actions, these users will continue to do. So so instead of testing the application with real users, we are because we have to use a tool, and this tool is providing us the component called load generator, and this is mainly responsible to simulate virtual users. So these virtual users, okay, uh, they we can simulate like n number of users depending on the machine capacity. So load generator is also a machine, but with some good configuration. Okay, some good configuration, like the configuration will be on the much higher side. Okay, when you compare with the normal machines. So load generator is also a machine, but with a very good configuration, like it can generate so many users. Okay, so many users, so like 16 GB RAM, 32 GB RAM, something like that. Okay, so this component is primarily responsible to simulate virtual users. So virtual users will perform the actions on the UI like how a normal user do, right? So this is the purpose of load generator. Let's say you have the load generator ready, then what else you need? For bank application, if you want to test the performance, you need to identify some scenarios which you feel that the performance is very very important for those. See, for any application, there will be some critical scenarios or some normal scenarios. Let's say for bank application, one of the very important critical scenario is a transfer money. So if a user is not able to transfer money, then it will be having a huge loss, right? So it's very important action or the scenario. So what are the steps that are involved for transfer money? So the first step is launching the application. Okay, for the transfer money scenario, I'm just mentioning the steps, sequence of steps. Then you log into the application. Then you navigate to your account. Basically, you might have multiple accounts, right? That's the reason. Then you can say, then you can choose a beneficiary. Okay, you can choose a beneficiary. Then you can enter some amount and basically click transfer. Okay, then you can log out. So these are the possible steps if you want to transfer money from one account to another account. So how do you perform these steps? Okay, through the tool. I mean, the users, how they perform these steps. See, load generator is generating the users for you, but how those users will run these steps? So for that, you need a component which will allow you to develop a script for these sort of steps or record a script for these sort of steps, which you can run or replay again and again. Component is called Vuegen. Okay, that component is called Vuegen. Vuegen component is primarily responsible for developing the scenarios, developing the steps or developing the scenarios or developing the actions. Okay, or you can say recording the actions, and which you can replay again and again n number of times. Okay, so let's say I want to run a transfer money scenario with 50 users, like so these 50 users will perform all these steps, and then we will analyze like how the application is responding. So when 50 users are performing transfer money, we have to analyze like how the application is responding. Okay, so that's the primary aspect, like to analyze the performance. So how fast the application is responding for the actions we perform on the UI. Okay, that's what the performance testing is all about. Okay, the basic thing, right? It has many other things to analyze, but the basic thing is to analyze about how fast it is responding. Okay, then you have the Vuegen component ready, which is used to develop or record the script. That's fine, that's great. Then when you have this script ready, how do you what is the next step that you do? Then you need a component which should allow you to upload these scripts and then a kind of trigger the execution. Okay, so it's all about the execution, right? After execution only we can analyze. So till here we are developing the script. In the next step we will be focusing on the execution. So there should be some component which should allow us to or trigger the execution. So that component is called controller or performance center. Okay, so this component is primarily responsible to upload these scripts to controller. Whatever the scripts that we develop in Vuegen, we will upload those scripts into controller. Okay, and then we can trigger the execution based on the requirement. Okay, we will discuss in detail about how the requirements will come, how we create, how we upload the scripts and all those things in later. But I'm just telling you at a high level, like what is the purpose of this component. So it's all about uploading scripts into controller and then creating your scenario and then triggering the execution and so on. Then once you execute, let's say once the execution is complete, then you need some component which should assist us in analyzing the results. See, analyzing is very, very important. Like of course developing or recording the script is important, because without script you cannot run. Without running you cannot analyze. Everything is important, but at the end of the day, what client will see or what the development team will see or expect from us is to provide a detailed analysis, like what went right and what went wrong as part of your performance test, right? So that's the reason there's a component called an analysis, which is primarily focused or primarily responsible to analyze the results. Okay, after execution it will clearly analyze the results and assist us in preparing a detailed report. It has a very good feature of providing various graphs, the various metrics, in a graphical representation. Okay, so which will assist us in providing creating a detailed report. So in short, these are the various components that we have in the LoadRunner architecture. Okay, there is one more term that we call it as agent process. Okay, which I will explain you okay in our upcoming session. Okay, so what agent process will do, how it is linked between these components, we will discuss again. So primarily the important components or the major components are load generator, viewgen, controller and controller or performance center, and then analysis. These are the major components along with the agent process. So once you install LoadRunner in your machine, okay, so viewgen, controller or performance center, analysis, agent process, all these things will be installed. Will be installed. Okay, I'll show you like where those components will be and all those things. Okay, this is about LoadRunner architecture. Please do make a note of all the questions you have. Okay, we will discuss in detail. Now, the next thing that we are going to learn or understand is how to from the agenda part. Like we have discussed what is performance testing, and then we have discussed about LoadRunner architecture. Okay, so how do you record and replay the script? So generally I told you, right, some of the steps here. These steps: launch application, login, navigate to your account. Like these are some of the steps for transfer money scenario, right? How do you record and replay that script? Okay, so what is the component that is used for development of the script? Viewgen, right? So viewgen is the component that is used to develop the script or record the script. So what we'll do is we will launch this viewgen component now, and then we will record a small 2 or 3 steps and see how the script is getting recorded, and then we'll replay and we'll see what it is giving us in as part of the analysis. Okay, analysis in sense what is that it is giving us the viewgen after replaying. So let's do it. So how do you launch this component viewgen? As I said, once you install LoadRunner, this viewgen, controller or performance center, analysis, all these components will be installed. So you have to launch viewgen now if you want to record and replay the script. So if you go to search, if you type viewgen, okay, after installation, it will come up like this icon. So click on this icon, virtual user generator, this icon. Okay, just type viewgen, it will show up, and just click on it. Okay, so you'll see this sort of screen as soon as you launch viewgen. So click on file, go to new script and solution, select new script and solution, and then you have to choose a protocol. We will discuss in detail, in this week about these protocols. Okay, so for all the web applications, we choose this protocol called web HTTP HTML. Okay, so for now, I'm going to select the same thing, and here I'm going to choose the location where I want to save these scripts. Okay, I'm going to create a new folder. Okay, so let me create a new folder. So let's say the folder name is uh, lr underscore 8am underscore December underscore. Okay, so something like that, some folder I created. Okay, so here it is. Okay, this is a folder that I created in D drive. Okay, so here the script name, what I'm going to give it as, let's say demo, because we are just going to record some demo script, right? So I gave some name as demo, and then click on create. We'll discuss all other things later, but just give script name and then give location where you want to save the script, and then click on create. So it will create a blank script, empty script. You don't have any code or anything as such, because we didn't record anything as of now. Okay, so once you create a script, you will see On the left hand side, this is a solution explorer where you have multiple options, like related to passing of test data, like uh, updating the settings, or having these actions. Okay, so we'll see all of these, what is the solution explorer and all those things we'll discuss in our upcoming session. So this space here is for the recorded script. Like once you record the flow, right, the script will be generated here. You can see the generated script here. Okay, after recording the script, okay. Now these are the different options you have, okay, on the menu bar. And the main option here is for today is this one, which will allow us to record a script, and then this one which will allow us to replay the script. Okay, so what are the steps that we are going to record today? What are the steps that we are going to record today? Is I'm going to take a sample application, okay, sample application which we call it as a web tours for now, for today. Uh, this application is given or provided by the Micro Focus itself, who is the vendor of LoadRunner. Okay, so what are the different steps that I'm going to record are: one, I'm going to launch the application; two, I'm going to log into the application; three, I'm going to log out of the application. So these three steps I'm going to record, and then I'm going to replay. Okay, then you will get a clarity like how the script is getting recorded in Vuegen. Okay, so let's do that. Go to Vuegen. There is an icon called record, right? Just click on it. Okay, so again, let me highlight that icon over here. So this is the icon that you have to click. Once you click on it, okay, you'll get a window, a pop-up window where you have multiple options. So for now, you can ignore this. Okay, so here you have to choose the browser, like which browser you want to use for recording purpose, like Firefox, Edge, Chrome. Internet Explorer is no longer supported in the newest versions of LoadRunner. Okay, so that's the reason we are not seeing Internet Explorer over here. Okay, by default we have to use Edge or Chrome or Firefox. Okay, uh, so and then here you have to give the URL, the application URL. For example, you are testing, you are working on a project called Isha Training Solutions.com. So that URL you have to provide here. You are working on some other application name that will have some URL, right? Because it's a web application. That URL you have to provide here. So the URL for web tours sample application is this one. Okay, the http localhost webtours/index.htm. I will be sharing this URL, how to install this software and all those things we'll discuss in our upcoming sessions later this week. Okay, but for now this is the URL for the webtours application, and these things we will discuss later. But the only things that we understood today is the browser what we have to choose here, and the application URL what we have to enter here, and then directly click on start recording. Okay, so when I click on start recording, what will happen is this browser will be launched with this given URL. The Mozilla Firefox will be launched with this given URL. Okay, that's what's gonna happen. Now let me click on start recording. Let me click on start recording. See, I clicked on start recording. You will see the browser getting launched. You will see the browser getting launched. Okay, you see the browser getting launched with the given URL. You see that the application launched. Okay, one second. Where is my Epic pen? Where did it go? Okay, so here, uh, as soon as I click on start, as soon as I clicked on start recording, the Mozilla Firefox browser launched with this given URL. Okay, okay, now you are seeing the launch page of that application. Okay, now then immediately you can also see a movable window over here, and there you see some number which keeps on increasing. If that number keeps on increasing, then it's a good sign that the tool Vuegen is able to record the WebTours application. Okay, that means the tool is able to successfully record your application. It's actually a good sign. Okay, so if the number doesn't increase at all, then there might be some issue. Okay, but if the number increases, okay, like 50, 100, like that, then probably you are good to go. Like means the tool is able to recognize and able to record your application successfully. Okay, that is one point. Then there are different options over here, like stop recording, pause recording, cancel recording. We'll see all those things later, but for now, for today, I'm going to explain you these two. Very important. This icon over here is start transaction. Start transaction. So what do you mean by start transaction? See, I launched the application. What is the next action I'm going to perform? The next action I'm going to perform is login, right? So that means first I have to start the transaction. I have to click on that, give a transaction name to it. Let's say the name is login. Let's say the name is login. Then click on OK. Once you click on OK, automatically this end transaction button will be enabled. You don't have to click on that directly. Okay. Before clicking on that, you have to uh, perform that action. Okay, on the UI. What is the action that you have started? Login. So that action you have to perform on the UI. Okay. Then go ahead and enter the username and password now. Username is Jojo. Okay, and password I entered. Okay, and then clicked on login button. You see, now the application logged in successfully. The application logged in successfully. So here, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait for 4 or 5 seconds, and then I'm going to click on this end transaction button. So that means login is done. So I'm going to end it. See, I'm going to end it. Done. Now login action is done. What is the next action I have to perform as per our steps? After login, I have to perform logout. So let's go ahead and start a new transaction called logout. At a new transaction called logout. Click on select enter logout and click on OK. Then go ahead and perform the logout action. How do you perform that? Just click on sign off on the UI. Done. The application logged out successfully. Then what you do, you end that particular transaction here again, logout. That means you are done with logout, so you end it. Okay, we have recorded all the steps: launch, login, logout. Yes. Now stop recording. So this icon over here, the first icon here on the mobile window is for stop recording. Just click on it. So once you click on stop recording, it will generate the script for us. Okay, so directly you will see the recording report here. We'll discuss about it later, but then just click on the next tab beside to it. Here the action or this action, whatever it is, the code that got generated, the code that got generated. Okay, the code that got generated. Okay, how many lines of code? Probably some 50 or 60 lines of code got generated. Okay, hope you guys are able to see the script on the UI. What is the code that got generated? Okay, after I click on stop recording. So here, if you observe carefully, line number 33, line number 33, it says LR underscore start underscore transaction login. Do you guys remember just now, few minutes ago, I started a transaction login on the mobile window, right? That when I do that, this piece of code will get generated. And if you see line number 52, there is something called LR underscore end underscore transaction. This, when I ended the transaction on the mobile window, this piece of code got generated. Now, whatever is there in between start and end, this code is related to the login functionality. That means whatever the username and password you entered and clicked on login button, right? For that particular action, this piece of code got generated. Here you can see the username and password that you passed, the username and password that you passed. So this is for login. Similarly, if you scroll down a little bit and if you see line number 56, it says LR underscore start underscore transaction, okay, logout. Okay, it says LR underscore start underscore transaction logout. And then if you see line number 68, LR underscore end underscore transaction logout. So whatever the piece of code that you are seeing in between, this piece of code relates to logout, because the transaction is about logout. Here we are starting, here we are ending. So this piece of code relates to logout. So this is logout, and then if you scroll little bit up, this is login. We have start transaction and end transaction for this. If you scroll up little bit before, then what is this request? Can anyone tell what is this request all about? Can anyone tell or anyone guess what is this request all about? Because this request doesn't have a start transaction and end transaction like this. It doesn't have any start transaction or end transaction like this. Okay, this request doesn't have anything. Okay, anyone, can anyone guess what this request could be? For
Launch
what is this
page.
all about? Yes, exactly.
Launching the
So
page.
yeah, launching the page. It's all about launching the page, but we don't have the LR start transaction and LR end transaction, something like this. Okay, I didn't explain you about start transaction, end transaction in detail. I just told you that, you know, it's if this piece of code is coming, that means you are starting the login. So if this piece of code is coming up, that means you are ending the login. Whatever is there in between, that code is related to login part, something like that. Okay. So here for launch, you don't have a start transaction or end transaction. So why we don't have? Because whenever you clicked on record button over here, right, and when you see this window, as soon as you click on start recording, the Firefox browser is launching with the given URL. Then we didn't get chance to start a transaction on the mobile window for launch. Before that itself it is launching, right? That's the reason you don't see the launch, you don't see the start transaction and end transaction for launch. However, you can add it like this: LR underscore start underscore transaction. You can directly write like this. This is just a small example. I didn't explain anything in detail. Okay, so okay, so here launch, you have to write launch like this. Okay, so that means the transaction name what I'm going to perform is launch. The action that I'm going to perform now is launch. Where I have to end, which line I have to end according to this screen, according to the code what you are seeing, where should I write LR underscore end underscore transaction? Which line number I have to write that? Any guess? Where should I write it? After this request only, right? So you can write after line number 31, probably line number 32 or 33, you can write LR underscore end underscore transaction. Okay, LR underscore end underscore transaction you can write. One second. Okay, LR underscore end underscore transaction. So the same transaction name you have to give here. Okay, and then I'm going to write LR underscore auto, which we'll discuss later in the later session. So you see now this code belongs to launch, this code belongs to login, okay, login, and then this code belongs to logout. So that's how your script will get recorded based on the actions you perform, okay, during recording. These are the actions that I performed during recording, and this is the script which got generated for me. Okay, now if I replay this, let's say I'm going to replay this. Okay, for replaying this script, I have to just click on this run button. If I replay this, let me click on replay. If I click on replay, so what will happen? The launch, login, and logout will get executed. The launch, login, and logout will be executed, and it will give us some report, some basic report, where it will tell us, okay, here you see. Okay, so obviously script is passed, but then here you see launch has taken 1.711 seconds. Login has taken 0.417 seconds. Logout has taken 0.278 seconds. So this is the amount of time it has taken for launching the application, for login to the application, for logout of the application. Okay, now you can ask me, sir, okay, what is the max amount of time that we can get here? So this is the this we call it as response time. Response time means when you send a request, okay, when that request, then when that code is going to server, right? Obviously we'll get some response, right? How much time it is taking to get the response? Like how much time it is, you click a link or you click a button, how much time it is taking to get the response back? So that is called response time. Okay, so this is the response time. So now you can ask me, what is the max response time we can accept? Okay, so as per the industry standard, the max response time that we can accept is 2 seconds. But in some project, it can be 3 or 5 or 7 seconds also, depending on the project requirement or project architecture. But if you see as a common standard, 2 seconds is the max. Anything beyond 2 seconds can be related to a performance issue. Okay, can be related to a performance issue. If your project is accepting 3 seconds or 4 seconds also, that's fine. That's fine. But if they don't give any max number, then by default it will be 2 seconds. Anything beyond 2 seconds will be a performance issue. Okay, so you have to keep an eye on these numbers. This is a basic thing that we have to analyze as part of the performance testing. Okay, this is a basic thing. Okay, this relates to the non-performance aspect. We are not testing the functionality. See, when I logged into the application, here, so let's say I want to log in. From the performance testing point of view, I want to log in. So I enter username and password and click on enter button. See, the user logged in successfully. See, but I'm not much interested in this. Obviously, the user will log in. Let's say the user will log in. See, the functional testers will be more interested to know whether the user logged in successfully or not. But the performance tester primarily focuses on uh, not whether the user logged in. That is also a part of it. But the most important thing that we will focus is how much time the user has taken to log in, how much time it has taken to reach to this page. That is important for us. Okay, that is important for us. Okay, so I hope you got some clarity about what this component is doing, what as a performance tester we have to focus, and all these things we will discuss in detail in our upcoming sessions. Like, as part of our course curriculum, we have some sequence to follow, right? So according to that, we will learn each and everything in detail again. So I hope I have given some enough clarity on what is performance testing all about, what is LoadRunner tool all about, how do we simply record and replay the script, and so on. Okay, so in this particular agenda we have completed what is performance testing, what something about LoadRunner architecture, and then how to record and replay the script. Okay, so now we have some 10 minutes time, right? So without wasting time, I will just move on to LoadRunner course content. Okay, LoadRunner course content. 1 second, guys. Just a moment. I'll just plug in the charger. Sorry for that. Okay, yeah. So we will move on to LoadRunner course content. Please make a note of questions, whatever you have. We will discuss in detail at the end. Okay, after reviewing the course content. But it's not like that in our upcoming sessions, in our normal sessions. Like, you can stop me whenever you want, and you can post all you can ask your questions there then and there itself. But because this is just a demo session, I just want to complete everything in sequence and take all the questions one by one. So let me go to the course content. Okay, so this is a course content of so where we start from the architecture basics. We understand what is performance testing. We understand the very important aspects here, like the life cycle, what is proof of concept, what are non-functional requirements, how the requirements will come to us, okay, and how to start our work. See, we know the concepts, tools, and everything, but we know how to start our work, how to kickstart our work, right? If you are assigned to some project, performance testing project, we should know from where to begin the work, right? So that is important. So we will discuss that. No, NFR, test plan, workload modeling, very very important. All these are document based, but very very important. Okay, then we'll jump to the tool, okay, because these concepts are common for all the tools. Like it's not specific to LoadRunner, it's common to the performance testing, okay. So even Jmeter or whatever the tool you use, these concepts are same, okay. Then we are jumping onto the LoadRunner specific course content here. So how do you install, okay, what are the different components, how to record, replay, features of Fusion tool, okay. Then the best scripting practices, of course we just recorded and replayed, but something we have to learn, like the best scripting practices, okay. So how do you naming conventions, how to use inbuilt functions, multiple actions, how do you debug, how do you record and replay, I mean recording versus replay, what are the different options we have, okay. And then we will move on to the runtime settings. So these runtime settings are nothing but no, it's the settings which support the execution. So just now I replayed the script, right? So for replaying the script, we need some runtime settings which will support the execution process. So these runtime settings we'll understand. Before this, we will discuss about the recording options also. We have different recording options. We'll discuss that also, okay, along with runtime settings. And then there are, like, this the very important concept again, HTML versus URL based recording. Then we have checkpoints. Checkpoints are nothing but a kind of assertions, like you click a link or a button. uh, we just have to confirm whether we are routing or we are just landing on the correct page or not. So for that we use the concept of checkpoints, a kind of assertion, okay, kind of validation that we do. Then the very again other important point, the introduction to C language. Here I would like to add one point. See, most of the participants ask me, sir, is coding required to learn this LoadRunner tool? I will see, if I say no, coding is not required, then I'm wrong. Okay, I don't want to deviate. Okay, I don't want to you to understand in a different way. I would say coding is definitely required, but only basics. See, 90% of your scripting doesn't require any coding. Wherever you need to just